Logan, newspapers have always focused on ephemeral matters while ignoring important societal changes. For this and other reasons, old newspapers are useless to both amateur and professional historians. All right, so our conclusion is for this and other reasons, newspapers are useless to both amateur and professional historians. All right, cool.
Okay. And then Mendez says, but news stories, along with popular art, provide a wealth of information about what the people of the era thought and felt. So he's like supporting newspapers or news stories.
Yeah, Mendez doesn't really have a conclusion here, I would say.
Yeah.
All right, so
And he's not even saying that they're useless either. He doesn't say anything about that.
well, I would say that he would say they're not useless. Why would I say that he thinks that they're not useless?
Oh, because they provide a wealth of information.
Yeah, like they at least provide some purpose, right?
Something. Okay.
Like, they can't be useless if they provide nothing.
Got it. Okay.
All right, so go ahead and start with A.
Okay. On the basis of their statements, Logan and Mendez are committed to disagreeing over whether A, okay, newspapers accurately report the most important changes taking place in a society. Does Logan say this or agree with this? I don't think that's the case. Accurate reporting the most important changes taking
Does
place.
Logan think yes, no, or I don't know?
So we know that they newspapers ignore important societal changes. Um, I don't think we know that. Maybe I
I
would
don't
keep
thi-
it.
wait, okay, so if he says they're ignoring important society changes, does he think that newspapers accurately report the most important changes taking place in society? I would say Logan says no to this
Okay.
because, like, he says they ignore important society changes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go on to B.
The study of previous eras should include investigations of the conventions of newspaper reporting. Study of previous eras of the conventions. I don't think Logan touches upon this at all.
Yeah, like we need to go investigate newspaper reporting. Like that doesn't
I'm
even
like,
come
and
up.
then like previous eras, I'm like, isn't that history? I don't know.
Yeah, don't overthink it. Yeah, no, not B.
Popular art is an important source of information about what the people of previous eras thought and felt. Okay, so we know Mendez would probably agree with this, but would Logan? Logan doesn't talk about popular art at all.
Yeah, so we don't know what Logan thinks about this.
Oh, okay. So if you know one person talks about this, but the other person doesn't touch upon this at all, right? And
Right,
that's an I don't
especially the
know.
first person, because sometimes we can get what the second person thinks of it because we get to assume that the second person is responding to the first person.
Yeah.
But if we're going through this first time just on the first person, we haven't like the first person isn't responding to the second person.
And there
So
wouldn't be an argument even about popular art from Logan
yeah,
whatsoever.
so we don't know what Logan. That's why I
Got it.
really like this approach.
Okay. Newspapers ought to focus more on the types of newspapers ought to focus more on the types of stories they have glossed over in the past. They focused on ephemeral matters, maybe not important matters, while ignoring important. We don't know if they have ought to focus more. He's just pointing out that they don't.
And that they're useless to both. Yeah, I would say he doesn't really
Yeah.
like. If anything, I would say that he would say yes to this, but I would also be more likely to cross it off. But I'm gonna like cross it off and leave a Y for me in case I don't find an answer that I like.
Okay. Newspaper reports from former eras are useful sources of material for understanding the past. Okay. Wouldn't Logan disagree with this? He would say they're not useful.
Excellent.
Okay, so Logan says no. Okay. So we got A, E, and if we don't like either, we go back to D.
Excellent.
And now we look at Mendez, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Mendez, A, Newspapers accurately report the most important changes taking place in society. We don't, so I don't think Mendes would even know if they accurately report the most important changes. They're just like somewhat useful.
Yeah, they just talk about art and a wealth of information of people thought and felt about art.
Yeah,
But cool. So we don't know what he would say about A, so we're crossing it off.
got it. Okay, so E. Newspaper reports from former eras are useful sources of material for understanding the past. Okay. So he says that news stories would provide a wealth of information about what people felt and thought in an era. So I guess like you're understanding the past, you're using it to like analyze how people thought and felt. I think he would think that they are
I mean, he does say
useful.
provide a wealth of information. Like I would say that is the equivalent of saying that they're at least useful for something of
Yeah,
understanding the past. And so
yeah.
one says no and one says yes. Our
Then
answer is
what's
going to be
that?
B.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.